Hello, good day, everyone. You are welcome once again to the Delali Network TDN live stream. As we always do every week, that is on Thursdays, 7 p.m. GMT, we bring to you our live sessions and we bring on board successful people who have been through the process to come and share their insights with us. So I'm here with one of our beautiful and brilliant sisters who has also been through the process. She has seen it all and she's on board today to share her insights and experiences with us. Madam Sewa, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Sly.
How has your day been?
Uh, it's been pretty good. Just relaxing at home.
And how has the summer been treating you so far?
It has been a moment of refreshing, like after the long academic season, the summer has been more of a time of just relaxing. And since I graduated, so I'm just enjoying my time at home, sleeping as much as I can before anything else comes up. Yeah.
Okay. What will you say about the summer? That is the heat as compared to the situation back home in Ghana.
I get surprised because like back at home we all think, oh, it's very cold in this part of the world. But what I say is it looks like every season is in the extreme. So when it's cold, it's extremely cold, and when it's hot, it's extremely hot. Because some of the temperatures that we experience in the summer is crazier than it's in Ghana. And it's interesting because I can't just wrap my head around it. And I remember when I went back to Ghana in December, like January thereabouts, I went to Ghana and it was hot. And I couldn't, I'm like, didn't I just come from Ghana? How am I feeling this heat like that? But yeah, it's been extremely hot, but we appreciate it in the moment because when it gets cold, you're gonna miss the heat. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it was only worse in Canada. I never knew it was also like hot at your end.
It is. It is. It's extremely hot. There's been some weeks that we've had like 100 degrees and all of that. It is.
Okay, let's get rolling. So, can you briefly introduce yourself to my listeners and my followers? They would like to know more about you.
Okay. My name is Paulina. That's my first name. My
Okay.
maiden name is Paulina Sewa Jemfi, but now I go by Paulina Sewa Jemfi Turner. I am from Ghana. I just completed my graduate education in journalism. What else? I come from Ghana. I was based in Kumasi for majority of my life. Never really traveled anywhere until 2023 when I decided to pursue my graduate studies here in the US. I have a background. I did my bachelor's degree in culture and tourism,
Okay.
but I particularly had a a huge sense of like practice and experiences in the media environment. So I decided that, hey, this is something that I love to do. So that is where I pursued my master's education. And here we are today. I graduated in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to finish your graduate studies in the US?
2 years, I guess. Maybe like a year and some months, because I arrived in the US in August 2023 and I graduated in May 2025. So close to 2 years, I must say. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You made mention that you studied tourism and culture.
Mm-hmm.
In which uni back home in Ghana?
I went to KNUSD.
Here University. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what motivated you to study abroad?
So it's an interesting story, right? I always knew that I wanted to pursue graduate education,
Okay.
but as to whether it was going to be out of the country was something that I didn't think of. So in 2022, before I graduated from my bachelor's education, I was talking to this guy who was in the US. And one day he was like, have you thought about study abroad? Because we were talking about my plans after school. And he was like, have you thought about study abroad? And I hadn't. So he was like, it's something that you have to consider. So that was when I decided that, hey, I want to look into this. So he helped mentor me as well. Went through some of the schools that I could apply to. So that was when that idea was birthed. Yeah.
Okay. So you mean if not because of that guy, you wouldn't have
Mhm.
even had any idea about what
No.
it's about.
No, honest. I mean, I had heard stories about people doing it, right? But as you know, like a lot of us thought that study abroad was for rich people, like people coming from wealthy homes. So it wasn't something that I had thought about. I probably would have still been working back in Ghana, or even if I wanted to do my master's, I probably would have done it in Ghana. I never thought of the US. I mean, I had interest in being in the US, but it wasn't something that I was willing to work towards. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about your days back in the uni.
Mhm.
Since you never had the idea to study in abroad, not
Mhm.
until you came across or you met that guy you are talking about. How was studies like? Were you still determined to make the first classes, the second class uppers, if you can tell us something?
Yes, I was like, I have always been that type of person who always like tells people that, hey, we need to do well in our academics, because for some of us, the backgrounds that we are coming from, the if we are supposed to match up with certain people, it only can be with our brains. So for
Yeah.
me, I had always been an advocate for making good grades for yourself, because even if you need sponsorship from someone to even study in Ghana, right? Somebody will be encouraged to help you if you have better grades. So I had always been an advocate for better grades. I wanted to make a first class. When I started my bachelor's degree, I started off with a second class upper, but
Okay.
I was so interested in making that first class one because my brothers had to sacrifice their going to college for me to go to college. So one, I wanted to make them very proud that it wasn't a useless sacrifice that they made. I wanted to make my entire family proud. So I am a first generation student. So I need to make them see their sacrifices worth. So I remember, I think when we went to final year, my first semester, that was when my grades finally picked up from that second class up into a first class.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to put my mind to this. I want to graduate with a first class, with not even grad school in mind, but just for myself and for my family. And eventually, I was able to graduate with a first class.
Okay. So whilst you were in school, that is KNUST, taking your undergraduate course, were there certain things you did unintentionally?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying unintentionally because you had no idea to study abroad until you finished school and you met that guy.
Yeah.
Were there certain things you did unintentionally that you say really helped in your graduate school application process, which you can ask people to also toe that line so that it
Yes.
can help them?
Definitely. So for me, for instance, even though my background was in culture and tourism, growing up, I always knew that I wanted to be a journalist, and I wanted to go to the Ghana Institute of Journalism, like actually study in journalism, but I didn't get to do that because I ended up going to KNUST and I was given a program that I did not even like. So I made up my mind that I would not let this program restrict me. So during anytime we go on summer breaks for like that long vacation, I made sure that I did an internship. And ideally, anybody pursuing culture and tourism will probably do their internship with like a tourism, like with the tourism sector. But I made
Okay.
my mind that, you know what, I want to still be a journalist or somebody in communication. So I ended up doing my internships with media houses. So in my first year, I did it with Ultimate FM in Kumasi. My second year, I did it with no, second year was when COVID hit, so I didn't do it. My
Okay.
third year, I did it with GH1 TV,
Okay.
and while before completing my final year, I was with Asasi Radio. So I made sure that I was doing my internships with the career path that I wanted to pursue. And not with the mindset of even grad school, but with the mindset that once I'm out of college and I want to go into the work environment, I do have work experience.
Experience.
And this is how this thing that I unintentionally did helped me in my grad school education. When I finally decided to pursue studies in the US and I knew like I wanted to do journalism or communication, one thing that helped was the fact that I had experience in the field.
Okay.
Because even though it doesn't really matter my background, one thing that helped was my experience, because as part of my application, I added a document which included me reading the news, like the stories that I had written and all of that, which
Okay.
was very helpful. I had asked my grad coordinator, am I able to submit this? Because I think as part of our applications, there's a part where you are allowed to add supplemental documents.
Document or additional
And
documents.
yes, so I uploaded all of them in a Google Doc and I
Okay.
sent it to him, and he was very impressed. And that actually also made me be able to build my CV for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about switching from one program to the other because that was in your case.
Yeah.
How easy is it or how difficult is it to do that?
I
And
mean, I
and
think that mhm.
and in order to do that, what are some of the steps one needs to take since you have an experience in that?
I think that how easy or difficult it will be dependent on the type of programs that you're switching. So, for example, like in the social science and humanities environments, it's if you're switching to similar sectors or like similar faculties, I feel like it's a lot easier than switching from like a social science to an engineering something.
Yeah.
So another thing that I encourage is for us to find a connection. So for me, the tourism background that I had, if anybody ever asked me, I remember one time when I was going to have one of those internships, they asked me, how does your background in tourism help you as a journalist? And I created the connection that even as a journalist, for you to tell a story or for you to search for news, you need to travel. And that is part of what tourism is. And even when people go on tours, they explore and all of that. They tell stories out of it, and that is what journalism and communication stand for. So that was how I was able to connect that. So as long as you're able to find a connection, I don't think it should be that difficult. And I mean, it definitely does make sense. And let's say there's no even direct connection. Let's say you did something like social work and you want to go into nursing, and throughout your time as a student you worked in a hospital as a social worker or you intern as a social worker, you can create a connection with that while you were helping those people you developed an interest that you can like help people further by being like a nurse practitioner or something like that. So I feel like the most important thing to do is to find the connection. And
Okay.
with the advent of AI tools, this is not something that should be even difficult to do. You can just type it into Google or Chat GPT and ask, how can I connect this thing to that thing? And it's going to give you like a sensible something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are watching us now, we just began this discussion with our sister Sewa, who had a fully funded offer in journalism in the US. She has graduated. Please share the link and let others join so that they can learn or get insights from what worked for her so that they can apply it in their approach since application periods are opened. Okay. So what was your approach in shortlisting the programs that you wanted to study in the US? What was your
So I definitely knew I wanted to be in the communication environment.
okay?
So even though I could have considered like political science, I could have considered social work and other things, I wanted to restrict myself a little bit to just the communication aspect. So I definitely was considering communication studies or journalism. Another thing that I was potentially considering was criminal justice,
Okay.
or like, so those are some things connected to whatever that I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
definitely decide on, hey, the program that I want to do or the background that I have, what are some of the programs that relate to that background. So that is what I did. And for the schools, I came up with a whole list. Like I had just started doing research, and this gentleman that I spoke about sat down with me and we will take each school. And when we take it, he's looking for, does this school have funding? Does it have the program that I'm looking for? And we start comparing them, and also the type of state it's in, and like a lot of things that we compared. And for the long list that I had, we shortlisted them to a very short list. And eventually I ended up applying to only two schools because obviously application fee issues will come in, like even gathering your documents, recommendation letters, like there's only too much that you can ask your recommenders to write. So all of those things. And Definitely this study abroad process is very hectic as well. So it takes a mental toll on you. So it wasn't something that I was willing to go through like longer like that. So I just decided that, you know what, two schools is enough for me. And with those two schools too, I was like, it's either funding or I'm not going,
Going.
because even if I have a loan, there's no way I think I can be able to pay that. And I don't have any family member who give me any bank statements to go and do anything. So I decided that the two schools are enough. And one was free application, and the other one I had to pay for it. Even that one, a friend of mine in Germany paid that for me. So
Okay.
one free, one paid application, and that was it.
Okay. So what were the names of the two schools you applied to?
So I applied to New Mexico State University, and I applied in that school. I applied for communication studies, and in West Virginia University, I applied for journalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get admission into the two?
Yes, I got admission into both schools. However,
Okay.
I did not get funding for any of those schools. That was like my initial admission came without any funding.
Okay.
So my mindset was like, you know what, no funding. What can I do? Like,
We'll come to that. We'll
yeah.
come to that. Okay. So in your search for the schools, aside looking for schools that will give you fully funded offers, what were some other things you considered during your search which you think might be helpful to prospective applicants who want to apply?
So one, definitely the availability of the program that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Two, funding was my major thing. And the other thing that I think sometimes we overlook is the responsiveness of the faculty members. Like that was one thing that I was considering, because I only chose to come to West Virginia University because my program coordinator was responding to me as quick as possible. And that was why I was like, I'm going to invest in this school and make it work. So I think the responsiveness also is very important. And I feel like sometimes we make the error of just going ahead and applying to the school without reaching out to anybody in the school, thinking that, you know what, that's it. But that's not always the way. So one thing is definitely reach out to schools and check the level of responsiveness as well.
Okay. So let's talk about the documents that were required during the school application
Mhm.
period. I know
So
the graduate school
mhm,
requires or has certain list of things that international students must
mhm,
meet,
yeah.
and your department also has some additional documents or information that you have to provide. So,
Mhm.
what were the things that both the graduate school and your department required for admission when you were putting in your application?
So definitely my transcript,
Okay.
and
Were you allowed to submit unofficial, evaluated,
yes.
or
So
official?
one thing about West Virginia University is that they do have that internal evaluation system. So you're allowed to submit like just a transcript right from your school. And I also had to write an SOP and a writing sample,
Sample.
my CV, what else? Recommendations, um, English proficiency as a then. Yes, so those are so my CV, SOP, writing sample, recommendation, English proficiency.
Okay.
Yes.
I even wanted to ask you that particular question because
Mm-hmm.
I know during the time you were applying,
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing was it was waived for Nigerians
Yes,
and
that's the
Ghanaians.
interesting thing.
So
But
I
it
wanted,
wasn't waived. So I initially asked my graduate chair, because sometimes you
okay,
can even ask them and they waive it for you. So I asked them that, oh, I schooled in Ghana, definitely, and I had like the English proficiency letter from my school. So I
okay,
asked him, and he's like, oh, yeah, you should be good to go, right? Without the English proficiency
I see.
test. So
Okay,
I initially submitted my application without the English proficiency test.
okay,
However, looks like graduate school or like the university as a whole was requiring me to submit that. So I had to reach out to him, and he's like, oh, on the department's level, that was not a requirement from them, but it looks like the university is not deciding to move on without that English proficiency. But fortunately for me, they were accepting the Duolingo. And for me, the flexibility of writing Duolingo was far better than going for IELTS or anything like that. And I could
okay,
write Duolingo from the comfort of my home. So then I opted for that. However, from I think for the past year, now Ghana has been added to the list,
At
and you
least, yeah.
don't need English proficiency to apply to West Virginia University. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the documentations
Mm-hmm.
regarding your academic resume, or some people say the CV. How did you tailor your CV to meet
Mm-hmm.
graduate school requirement and departmental requirements?
So I actually already had a CV because back in school I had applied for I had gone for some leadership positions that I needed a CV for. So I had a CV. So all that I had to do was to tailor it for the specifics of my program. And
Okay.
as I said, because I had a lot of background experience in journalism, those are the experiences that I put on there. And I must admit, like when the professor saw my CV, he was amazed. He was impressed. Like, that's such a great CV. And so those were the experiences that I put on there. And then definitely my undergrad experience. I made sure that I gave a thorough explanation of what I had done. And it's important to put, especially internships. And this is why it's very important that while we're in school, we make use of those things and those opportunities to build up experiences, because you may end up, even let's say if it's not even grad school, you're going to the job market, they're going to ask you how many years of experience do you have, but because you didn't do any internships, you don't have experiences. But that 3 months internship could potentially pass off as even a 1 year experience without us even realizing that. Yeah, so that was how my CV was tailored, mostly with my internship experiences. Oh, and definitely my volunteer experiences. I had volunteered with charity foundations, so I put that on there. The positions that I had held in school, and also even my church position. So I made it like more of a generalized CV. However, my experiences, especially with my work experience, were tailored towards my grad education, and the other ones was volunteering, because as we all know, like, they don't only concentrate on your SOPs or only on your grades, they also concentrate on other experiences that you have. So I included all of that in there.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about your statement of purpose, or the
Mhm.
SOP. How many page was required? Also,
So
what
I
were some
think,
ingredients that you included that were helpful?
so the SOP was one of the things that I struggled with. And
Okay.
I think they were asking for a page. Was it a page or two? I don't remember, but I remember exceeding it by a few lines, and I had to reach out back to my professor, be like, oh, I just exceeded it by a few lines. Is it okay? And it's like, it was okay. And before I go into the details of it, one trick that I did was like, because I was applying to communication program and journalism at the same time, which is related,
Okay.
I did what I don't advise a lot of people to do, is I use the same SOP and I tailored it for both schools. I
Okay.
just changed a little bit of the wording and tailored it for both, which will not work in most cases. But the SOP was something I was struggling with. Like, I had written about 3 or 5 of them and it wasn't working. So what I did was, there was a guy that I knew who was also like a mentor in this study abroad process. I
Okay.
sent him my CV and I told him to please write me an SOP. He
Okay.
charged me for that, so I paid for that, and he wrote the SOP. He gave it to me to look through it, and I'm like, this sounds like a blueprint that I can work with. So
Okay.
that was when I was like, please include all my experiences that are relevant and all of that. And at that time, I didn't know anything about like how even to use AI to work it out. And I wasn't certain if I wanted to even use AI, because it was dicey at that time. And so I looked through it, I altered it, made sure it fits what I was looking for. They were asking for your experiences, your educational experiences, how, like, your general life, how it's going to help you be a better person in grad school, how grad school is going to contribute to your life, how your experiences will help your stay in the US and in the program and all of that. So after I had tailored it, I sent it to about 3 different people. The first person I sent to was I think the first person is somebody who had completed the journalism program in my school.
Okay.
So the person has passed through it, so he knows what they are asking for. He edited it. I kept being on their next to check it for me. The second person was somebody who had studied a master's in English for them to check for like grammar and all of that. So they checked it, and then I ended up getting it back and finally going through it and making sure that this is what I really want to submit before I put in that application. Yeah.
Okay. So even after paying for someone to help you with a draft of your SOP, you didn't just submit what the person worked on for you.
No. Honestly, that's one of the things that I don't know if it's a struggle. I don't really trust the work of people. And it actually took a lot of my pride to even ask someone to help me write it.
Right.
So I don't be trusting the works of people like that. So I had to go through it. And also because I do realize that sometimes you may even be involved in an interview. They are going to ask you questions about this essay that you didn't write. So
Right.
if you don't like go through it and tailor it to your perfection, how are you going to answer the questions when it comes to questions concerning that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your writing sample.
Mm-hmm.
What was the component of the
So they
writing?
were generally asking for like a general writing sample. So it could have been like a journalism piece or anything in the field of like that sector, right?
Okay.
However, at that time, I don't know, I don't think I even had any stories or anything that I had written like that. So I asked again. And this is why it's important to keep in touch with someone from your department. I asked my graduate chair again, is it possible that I can submit my undergraduate dissertation?
Okay.
And he said yes. So all that I did was my research paper in my undergrad, I took it and dumped it in there. However, for New Mexico University, I had to write a whole writing sample, which again I asked the person who helped me with my SOP, can you help me like get a blueprint and write something? Because during these times you have like so much of a big idea of what you want to write, but as to put it on the paper becomes the
Organizing
problem.
it.
Yes. So I ended up having to ask him to help me again, and then I looked through it and then I submitted it. So I feel like sometimes people tend to struggle with writing samples and we forget that we did research in our undergrad and it will be very helpful. So all that we need to do is to ask questions as to whether we can submit that or not. Yeah.
Yes. Because even with the writing sample on the website of some schools, you see it
Mhm.
clearly. Oh, even your undergraduate thesis or
Yes.
research work can be
Or even
accepted.
an assignment, like in school they give us assignments to write about certain things that
Like
you
10
can submit.
papers. 10 papers.
Yes, you
Okay.
can submit those. Like if you're not sure, that's why the graduate people are there. If you're not sure, ask questions. That's all that matters. And one thing that we don't realize that this correspondence with people from the department does for us is that it actually imprints your names in their minds. That, and these are the same people sitting on the admission committees, so they'll vouch for you. They'll be like, oh, this person has kept in touch, they ask a lot of questions, and they are familiar with your application, so it's very helpful. And that's one thing that I feel like sometimes most of us overlook.
Okay. Let's talk about the number of schools you applied to. You mentioned that you applied to 2 schools.
Yeah.
So my question to you is that do you believe in quantity over quality, or you believe in quantity and quality, or you believe in only quality? 3 questions.
Hmm. Well, on any day, right, I would say I believe in quality over quantity, right? But with the study abroad process, because of how the probability of the decisions coming out of it, I would believe in quantity and quality.
Okay.
So you match those two. Yeah.
Okay. So watching back and now, will you now go for both the quality and quantity?
I, you know what, in theory, I would say that I will go for both quantity and quality. But when it really comes to the ground, the stress of applying, and I must even say, like, I was even trying to apply for a PhD, right? But the stress alone, I ended up applying to just 1 or 2 schools. Meanwhile, I don't advise people to do that.
Do that.
But I do acknowledge that it is very stressful. By the time you even realize some of the application deadlines have even passed. So I would be an advocate for matching quality with quantity. As many schools as you can apply to, do apply to them. However, make sure that you put in a very good application. Don't be like, oh, I want to do a lot. So some people just use the same documents and just keep dumping them in all the applications, which is not the right way. You have to match the quality with the quantity. Yeah.
Speaking about matching quantity with quality, when it comes to the grad school process, aside spending your time, you have to also involve financial resources.
Yep.
And it all boils down to paying application fees. What is your advice to prospective applicants? How can they navigate this financial process?
So the first option is definitely making use of free application schools.
Okay.
However, there's one thing that we have to understand about free application schools is that you are not the only one who has access to that free application code. A lot of people. So don't only apply to schools that are giving free application. So that's one thing that you can do to fight that financial hurdle. The other thing is one thing that one of the guys encourages people to do is don't only make use of the general free application codes, directly reach out to the people in the department and ask for application waivers. So that one, it is only peculiar to you. It's not something for a lot of people. So make use of that one too. And the other thing is, if there's this school that you know that I stand a very high chance of getting admission to this school, I've done my due diligence, I've put in my best, like everything says, I have like a 90% chance of getting into this school. I don't know if you have all the resources, dump them into that school. Like even if it's your last money that you want to use to apply, apply to that school, and definitely applying to a school that you think that you stand a higher chance of being approved is a very good investment. So for me, at that time, I was doing my national service. So it was the national service money that I was using.
Okay.
And I didn't even use it to pay the application fee. I used it for collecting my transcript, like those other things that I was
Thanks.
doing. So I ended up having to reach out to a friend to help me pay for that. So important thing to keep on keeping all your connections back from school. If you know people, reach out to them. Don't be shy. Like a lot of us try to hide the study abroad process, and I understand because this is where we are coming from. A lot of forces are working against us. But if you need help, go ahead and ask for it. If you get rejected, like keep on going, try again, don't give up. So these are some of the things that I think people can make use of to break that financial hurdle in this process. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about your transcript.
Mm-hmm.
You use your unofficial transcript. That is the one you had. You uploaded it during the application process.
Yes.
That means you didn't involve yourself in any transcript evaluation process.
No.
What is your advice on that? Whether
So
to go for transcript evaluation or not to go for it?
so if you can, like, go for it because one, a lot of people will not be applying to schools that are asking for transcript evaluation. So if you have transcript evaluation, you can apply to more schools than the usual person. The other thing though is if you can't afford it, because it's very expensive, look
Yeah.
for schools that are not accepting that. And even after you had submitted the unofficial one for your application, after you have been considered for admission, the school will reach out to you that they need an official transcript from your school,
Okay.
not the one necessarily evaluated, but you would have to let the school mail in a hard copy to them. And that is what I ended up having to do. However, the benefits of the evaluation is that, especially with those who have lower grades, I have heard like testimonies of people on how when they evaluated their transcripts, it helped them boost their GPAs. So if you have a very low GPA, I would advise that fakato castle and do that so that it will potentially help you to boost your GPA. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that response. So, if you have the means and you can evaluate, please go ahead as she has mentioned. If you don't have the means, then kindly avoid schools that are strict on the evaluation because a lot of schools in the US also do what we call internal evaluation,
Yeah.
just like how West Virginia University did for her. So, let's take note of that.
And one thing that I'll probably want to add is that if you end up doing the transcript evaluation, apply to schools that are accepting transcript evaluation. Like, don't go and apply to schools that don't need it because you spent money to do it. So get your money's worth. Apply to the ones that are asking you for transcript evaluation because it would definitely be a stumbling block to someone who doesn't have, and now gives you a better chance about that person. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, you mentioned that one good thing about West Virginia was the responsive nature of the faculty members through emails.
Yep.
How important is sending emails to prospective grad school professors before you even put in your application? and
So
after
the
putting in your application?
definitely the most important thing is because it makes them familiar with you and your application. Before I even got to West Virginia University, they had heard about me. Like, so
Okay.
when I went into the office, they're like, oh, this is Paulina, this is Paulina. So I feel like it makes them very familiar with you and your application, and they see your persistence. So even if it's for funding, right, that you're searching for, it gives you the opportunity of being on top of their mind if an opportunity pops up. And these are the same people who sit on the committee. So they are looking through the application. They are like, oh, this person, this, and grad school is not only about just the book aspects. It's about a lot of things about building you as a human being, giving you a personality. So they want to churn out human beings who will survive in society. So there are certain qualities that they would also want you to be able to build, and they will appreciate you having. So definitely be very persistent, put it in the work. So reaching out to them is very important. Any opportunity comes, you're on top of their mind. So it is very, very, very important. Even some schools, like, that's a requirement. You have to reach out to a faculty member, get a supervisor before you are even considered for admission. Yeah.
Okay. So talking about reaching out to faculty members, did you in any way get any research interests
Mhm.
which aligned with that of the department member you reach out to?
Mhm.
Did you
So
in any way do that?
initially, I didn't have any research interest, and I didn't even think about the type of research that I wanted to do. I only even settled on my research topic in my second year.
Okay.
So the only reason I was reaching out to somebody in the department, and this was in particular the graduate coordinator, was to help me through the process, like if I had questions or anything like that. So it wasn't me specifically reaching out to a faculty member for research purposes. And even before I applied, right, he was very blunt with me that the department has very limited funding. And
Okay.
during that time, the school was going through some budget restructuring. So they had cut down on a lot of funding. So he was like, it's very unlikely that I'm going to get funding. And this is where, when I said, if there's a school that you stand a higher chance of getting in, put in your all. So I knew that there was a probability of me not even getting funding. But I'm
Fine.
like, this person is very responsive to me. Like, they like my application, so I apply. And he actually even encouraged. He was like, he's going to be sending my resume around. If anything else pops up, he's going to recommend me for that. And he had seen the videos that I sent him, so he knew that I was going to be a great student as well. And I think one thing also is, if we ever end up in a certain school, we should leave a good legacy. It looks like there had been a Ghanaian student who had
Okay.
come like years before me, who left a very good legacy.
Interesting.
So he was very excited to hear that I'm also coming from the same country, and he had also visited Ghana. So we had, like, there was a lot of other things that we even spoke about, and it was not even study abroad stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you must always ensure you leave a good legacy wherever you go.
Yep.
And I hope you also done same.
Oh, I have. Even like after I had gotten to West, at least I have mentored about like 10 students to come to West Virginia University.
Wow.
And when I was there, I was the only Ghanaian student. There was one Nigerian. So we were like two Africans who were in, the other one was in final year. I was in my first year. Now, as I was leaving, there's one Ghanaian, there's about three Nigerians. So now we have, like, the African community is growing, because I ended up posting it on my TikTok. I started mentoring people. People also, when they realized I was there, started reaching out to me. And now we have like I have mentored more than 10 people to come to West Virginia University. And I'm very proud of that. Like, whenever they come, they're like, oh, Sarah, Paulina. I'm like, oh, I know her. They're like, I know her. And I'm very happy about that. So, yeah.
That's a great job, and those are great numbers out there. You are doing very
Yeah.
well, and God bless you. Okay.
Amen.
You spoke about your offer coming in without any funding.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel? Were you disheartened?
I was. I mean, but I at a point I was like, girl, you knew it. You knew it was a 50-50 chance, right? But you know how that can discourage you and make you feel like you're not a good student.
Yeah.
So I was definitely heartbroken. But the other thing is, even when the admission came, I was excited, right? That, oh, I've gotten admission into a school in the US. So I was happy regardless. But one thing that I knew for sure was, that means that year my study abroad journey was not going to happen
Okay.
because I wasn't going to go to school without funding. It was funding or nothing else.
Okay. So what changed the story? No
So,
funding, no
mhm,
funding to a full funding. What changed the
yes.
story for you?
So what happened was I had come across a Fred Effects video. I was on YouTube
Okay.
because during that time I was going through, like, I was watching YouTube videos and all of that. So Fred Effects had posted a video that, did you get admission without funding? Like, this is what you have to do. So he said, oh, you can reach out to other offices on campus because they use the services of graduate students. So the library, the dining services, international students office, graduate education. So I started reaching out to these people to ask, like, do they have any positions opened? And I forgotten which office told me, but they ended up telling me that they don't have any position, right? But any position that is available, they put it up on Handshake. That's where they post all the available positions. And the grad school coordinator had also told me the same thing. She's like, it's unfortunate that we don't have funding in the department, but you can get externally funded. So check the sites, and if there's any position you can apply. And I'll also be keeping your resume. If I hear anything, I will send it your way. So I ended up signing on to the Handshake, and I think West Virginia, they automatically sign you on once you get admission. And I started looking on there, searching for positions, and everything that I saw with graduate assistantship, I was applying to it. Like every single thing, I was applying to it. I applied to almost like 22 positions on the Handshake, and I wasn't hearing anything from them. Like some of them too looks like they were looking for me to have been in the US already. I don't know what they were looking for, but I almost lost hope. And one day I was there and I get an email, and I can't even describe how I felt about that. I was excited, and they're like, "Oh, we would want to schedule you for an interview." So I ended up selecting a date that we can talk and have that interview, and they scheduled it.
Okay. So before we continue, you mentioned the Fred effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just looked for the name of the YouTube channel and I've shared it on our screen here. If you're interested in studying abroad and you've not followed the Fred Effect, please kindly do that on all his platforms. Go and subscribe to his YouTube channel because he has a lot of content out there. A lot of content. Over 400 plus videos for your study abroad journey. So if you have
Yeah.
not subscribed, if you have not followed him, please kindly do that because he's a gem in this, and it is through him. That is how come most people, and including myself, have been inspired to also begin the study abroad thing. So Sarah, we can
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, and I'm even sure that I even found the West Virginia University and New Mexico State even from his page, because there were times that he would like give a list of schools and I'll be
Schools
writing them. Yes. So Fred Effects page is very helpful, and that particular video was what did it for me.
for you. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can just see he has about 422 videos
Yeah.
here and 178,000 subscribers. So please, if you've not subscribed, kindly do that and just ensure like there are a lot of videos on his website or his YouTube channel for everyone about colleges, about universities. If you have gotten admission, no funding, as Sarah mentioned, when
Yeah.
it came without funding, there was a particular video on Fred's channel. That is what actually changed the story for her. Okay, so when you got that notification or that email to prepare for your interview, how was the feeling like and how did you prepare?
I was very excited. I was like, finally, there's an opportunity, because sometimes that there's something that you can do, but because you're not even given the opportunity to get through that door, it will be very hard. Let's say you want a job, but nobody's giving you the opportunity to even interview, because sometimes there are things even on your CV that when you're talking, you'll be able to make an impression more than your CV. But because your CV was crashed, you never get that opportunity. So I was very excited when they reached out. I was like, that day I was going to be at work, and I'm like, I'll be available like anytime. I'll be available. I end up telling my boss that, what did I even say? Did I tell my boss I was sick or something? Or I have an inter? I don't even remember what I told my boss. I was like, please, I'll be coming to work this day. Oh." And Do you want me to go ahead
And
and tell
you
you?
were praying for a good network too, right?
Tell me. Good network. Good network messed with me when I was writing my Duolingo test. When I was
No.
writing that my network messed up. Huh. But it's a story for another day.
Okay. So what were some of the things that actually helped you ace the interview in order to get the funding?
Okay, so the first thing that I did, right, was when I realized the office that email was coming from. I went on the school's website and I searched for the office. I wanted to find out the things that they do, what they stand for, and all of that, because I realized those would be very important things. And when I was applying for the positions, so when you're applying, they are certain things that they're telling you these are requirements for this position. These are some of the things that they're looking out for from the perfect candidates. So I ended up reading about them on their websites and the things that they'll be like, oh, you have to have knowledge of this. Even if I didn't have that knowledge, I went to learn for just for the purpose of that interview. So now back to the guy that I spoke about in the beginning, I ended up talking to him again, and he's like, yes, learn about these things. Like, so he gave me some of the things that I have to do. So one, they deal with more of like legislations. It's
Okay.
it used to be the division of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So definitely you should know what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. So I started learning about those things, and there are certain like legislations that I needed to have an idea about. And this is legislations in the US that I definitely did not have any idea about. But I went online and learned about it. And the interesting thing is, after I had come to the US, one day I was riding with my boss, right? And I was asking her what made me stand out from all the other interviewees. And she told me that it was your knowledge of that particular title or that legislation that made us pick you over all of them, because all of them were United States citizens based in the US and they didn't have any idea of that legislation. But you being an international person, having an idea about it was what did the trick for us.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely, if you're going to do an interview for any organized, even for job opportunities, right? Go and learn about the company. Let them know that you have done your due diligence, and that will do the trick for you. Yeah.
Okay. So after you were done with the interview, how long did you wait to hear from them, and how did the offer come? What were the components of the offer?
So I would say, so they told me that I think in 2 weeks or so I was going to hear from them. I don't really remember, but I think that in the next 2 weeks I heard from them. And I
Okay.
got like, congratulations. I was like, wait, am I dreaming? Because that interview was heated. It was like online and the whole team was on there, everybody asking me their own questions.
Questions
And I feel like sometimes your confidence also helps. Like,
helps.
and when you're there, people ask you questions in interviews, giving real life examples of how you've done certain things actually help. And this is a secret that I'm telling all of you. Even if you've not done it, make it up and tell them. So, like, that is one thing that's helped me. Like, I gave real life examples of
Of
the things
course.
that I had done. And as I said, you see in the beginning, I mentioned that I also had experiences working with charity organizations. So, those are subjects under equity, inclusion, and diversity. So, it came in very handy. I had held some appointment positions in school. I told them how practically some of the things that they're expecting people to do in that position. I have done that already. So it really helps. So when that email came in, it was just like the offer email that you've been selected and all of that. And they said, oh, they'll send me the letter very soon. But as time went on, I wasn't hearing from them. So I had to reach out and she's like, oh, the person supposed to put that together is not in the office. So they eventually sent me the full thing and I signed it with my offer and I was like, wait, did it just happen? And my everything was paid. It was full tuition, health insurance with a stipend. And I was like, I came from zero now to a full funded thing that I don't even need a bank statement to support it. The only thing that I remember was after calculating everything, there was a $32 deficit on there that I had to fulfill. And I was like, I can even use my own bank statement. But I ended up using my boss's bank statement because I wanted something that they would trust in, not my 559 bank statement or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. So, what advice do you have for those who always get admission? It doesn't come with the funding, and they let go. What advice do you have for them since you've experienced that?
So one thing is definitely search on the school's website. Some schools post it on their website, so you can search maybe Ohio University graduate assistantships, and it will show you a list of graduate assistantships available. And the interesting thing is, once I found that video and found this pathway, everybody who does not get funding, I tell them to do that. And some of them will get it right, others won't get it. But the other people that I mentored, particularly in West Virginia University, who came all got external funding because most of them came into my department and my department was not having funding.
Funded.
So
Okay.
they all got external funding. People from Nigeria, Kenya, and even Ghana now all have external funding. Yes.
Okay.
So
You mentioned
definitely do
handshake.
it.
Handshake,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I think that's the spelling that I've projected on the screen.
Yes.
So if your admission should come, every school in the US has this actually, right?
I'm not sure. So some
Okay.
schools don't use it, some schools use it. And
Use
even
it.
Handshake, like people use it in the job market, just like Indeed and LinkedIn. So people use it. And one thing that I think will also be helpful on the Handshake is like when you filter it to your university's collection, it's going to help you. And one other mistake that I've seen people do a lot is anything that they see on there, they are applying. Like even if they see student worker position, like it's a job on campus, right? But you should be looking out for positions that are graduate assistantships because those are the ones that comes with tuition assistance, stipend, and all of that. And that is what will show on your I-20. Usually, the student worker positions on campus jobs do not show on your I-20. Yep.
Okay. So we are done talking about the application process through to
Mhm.
admission. When your offer came without no funding, the steps you took to get a fully funded offer. Now let's talk about the visa application process.
Mhm.
After your offer letter came, what steps did you take to get your certificate of eligibility? That is your I-20.
So I just went ahead and sent it to them. Initially, it came without a letterhead. So they told me, oh, go and get a letterhead. So I made them resend it. So I just sent it to, was it Global Affairs or something? I just sent it to them thinking, oh, I'm done. And they were like, oh, it's left with $32. So you have to add this. So I added that statement. And
Okay.
then I think within 24 hours, they sent me my I-20. And then I started my visa application. I went to pay for my MRV and took my passport picture and started the visa application.
Okay. So with that process, were you also familiar with it or you were still learning the process?
No. So the person who helped me write my SOP, that same like he was actually into the study abroad thing, so he ended up helping me fill my DS 160 and all of that. So I wasn't familiar with it, but I made sure that I was present. I was like going through the entire process with him
Yes.
because I'm the one going for the interview.
Okay.
So when we were done, now it got to just trying to get an interview date and all of that. Yeah.
Okay. So talking about trying to get an interview date, I think someone asked a question here. Let me project it from Watima Portia. She's asking, Sewa, please, did you apply for emergency appointment?
Yes, I ended
Then,
up having to apply for emergency appointment.
then she asks another question here. How long did it take to be approved?
I think my emergency appointment was approved within 24 hours. Like, I think things have changed now.
Yeah.
In 2023, it was approved within 24 hours or so, but it came with just about 3 days eligibility, like 72 hours eligibility. So I had to get a date within that
Yeah.
time, but I didn't get it. And then there was another option where you could actually send the embassy an email and they will give you an interview. They'll give you the emergency again. So I sent them that email, and now that emergency was eligible for like about 30 days. So
It's okay.
within that 30 days was when I eventually ended up getting a date to be able to go for my interview because I think I had finished my application somewhere around was it like January or March? So with the whole funding issues and all of that, everything settled around like May,
May. Okay.
and school was resuming in August or so. So during that May, now I had to get my I-20, and by that time was also fast spent. After I started my visa application too, it was near ending of May, in the midst of June thereabouts, and I was not getting dates. So I kept hunting for like a month or so, and I was not getting the day that I got an interview was around 20 something July, and my interview was on 27th, and school was like 2 weeks away. So I think I qualified for an emergency appointment. But even with that, after you've even been approved, getting the date was a hassle, like staying up late in the night. Like you can't even concentrate. And I used to work at a radio station. So I would read the news, which is like time sensitive, and I would be on my phone monitoring. We had a group called the hunting group. I'll be like monitoring. We actually made like a whole timetable where each person had a
Okay.
slot.
Okay.
You go into the portal,
What
you find the dates, you come and tell the group dates are bow. But by the time you go, the date. I remember one time I was in the bathroom and taking my shower, and my phone was on the thing like this, and I was scrolling while bathing. The dates came. By the time I could even click, somebody has gotten it. And it was crazy. Sometimes I'll keep monitoring, I'll do my part in the group. By the time the dates will come, I'll be on air reading the news and I won't see the dates. So the day I finally got that date, I told my brother the hunter has finally caught some meat. So it wasn't easy, like, and that's why you see when this journey finally comes to fruition, it's like a dream come true for you.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. So, talking about how difficult is it to get a date,
Mhm.
will you then advise people to even start the application process very early so
Yes.
that, because we know some schools, once you meet that priority deadline and they make a decision quickly for you,
Yes.
and you can start the visa process. What is your advice about putting in
Yes.
application early?
I definitely will encourage everyone to put it in early, so that's like even when your visa is approved, you still have ample time to be able to prepare to come to the US. Because for me now, then I have like only a weekend, some few days to purchase my plane tickets and all of that. So definitely applying early is very important so that you have ample time for any uncertainties that may come up here.
Okay. So, whilst preparing, trying to get the dates and those other stuffs, did you in any way involve yourself in pre-interview sessions or what we call mock sessions, just to prepare yourself and get familiar with some of the similar questions visa officers asked during the interview?
Yes. So before I got the dates, I would like watch other people, and Fred Effects page too. Like he used to do some 4 a.m. mock sessions. So I
Yeah.
would join and listen because I didn't have the dates yet. So I would just listen in, and the day that I got the dates, I'll start. I was even scared from the onset. Like I would join, and then I ended up finding another page. That was the page that Theo and the other people were on. So I joined that one too and started having mock sessions. But anytime that I joined, right, most of them would tell me, "Oh, you're good to go," and all of that. And I feel like on one end, because I am very eloquent, people think I got my shit together. But on the other end, I may be struggling, right? So I still kept joining, listening to people's stories, kept practicing and all of that. Before, even the day before the interview, I did some mock sessions before that interview.
Okay. Does getting a fully funded offer translate into an automatic visa approval?
Well, that's a little dicey, right? But I think that it increases your chance of being approved, because even if you have a full funding and you're definitely being asked questions and you can't express yourself, it will be a problem. But I do think that your full funding boost your chance by a whole lot. Because for me, even regardless of all that interview prep that I had done, when I went for the interview, I think what did for me was my funding. Because when I gave the lady my I-20, she said, "You have great funding." And they didn't ask me any of those questions that I had prepped for. Even if they had asked me, I forgot. I went blank when I was standing there. I was like, thank God they didn't ask me any questions like that, because I wouldn't have been able to answer them. So definitely, if you can get funding, like it should be the priority. If you don't get it and there are other avenues, definitely like use them. But as I always say, if you can go to school for free, why would you choose to pay for it? Yeah.
Okay. Why? What happened? You mentioned that you went blank during.
Yes, I
Why?
don't know. I
Were
honestly
you
don't.
were you paying attention to the other people they were interviewing? That is why you got confused or what?
So the thing is, I really don't know what happened, right? But I was very calm. I didn't talk. I didn't do anything because I didn't want to prove to people that I knew what I was about to do, or because there
Okay.
were people there who were very loud and all of me. I was praying, hoping that my visa is approved. And you definitely can see when people are being denied and all of that. I don't think it took a toll on me, right? But I knew that if the woman had asked me any question, I had forgotten what I wanted to say. I would have probably like sounded confident, but I would definitely fumble a little bit to be able to recall it. But fortunately for me, she didn't ask me any of those sort of questions. No.
Okay. So you would say in your case the funding did the magic for you.
Yes, because that's what she said. She said, "Can I have your I-20?" I gave it to her. She's like, "You have great funding." The only thing that she and you see when people are doing mock interviews, you tell them don't go and answer yes or no. I literally answered yes or no. And so she asked me, have you changed your like irrelevant questions? Have you changed your name in the past year or so? I said no. Have you ever traveled to the US before? I said no. It's like, oh, are you going to West Virginia University? I said yes. And I mentioned the program that I was going to do. That was it. It's like that was it. Only yes or no. And she says, I didn't even hear the things that she was saying. I felt like I was dreaming. So I feel like the funding definitely did it. So she saw my I-20 and that was it. Yeah.
Okay. So after you got your visa,
Mhm.
what was the feeling like?
I was excited. Like when I got out, I felt like it was surreal, right? So somebody who had seen me would probably may have thought that my visa was denied because I was living in a world that I didn't know. I couldn't believe it. Like, am I really going to the US? I'm a first generation person. Like, my family has invested so much in me,
Yeah.
and now they see certain things. If left to money alone, I wouldn't make it to this US. But is this my life that God is making an example of? And one thing that I didn't neglect in this process was my relationship with God. And I had prayed the night before the interview. My mom also called me and prayed for me. One prayer that I remember saying was that the Holy Spirit should take control of whoever is going to interview me. And as I stood in front of the service officer, I knew that she wasn't of herself. She may probably think anything, but I felt like all the questions coming were just God taking control of everything. The prayer that my mom also said was, there's something in the Bible that tells us the heart of a king is in the hands of God. So my mom gave me that example. So I felt like everything was just God working in my favor. So when I stepped out, it felt surreal. I didn't do anything. I didn't take my phone. I left my phone at home. So I was holding my documents. I just went to sit in the church before I realized I was at Osu. And it kept it still felt like a dream until on Monday I finally got my passport. My visa was in. I still couldn't believe it. Even when I stood at the airport, and how even God made sure I was able to get my plane tickets. So I got to the US and I came during summer, so I didn't feel like I was in the US. I was like, now approaching it, she say. So I stood there and I was like, God. It was just a feeling of gracefulness. I was grateful to God. It felt like I was living a dream. Yeah, so that's how I can explain that feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to us now, we are live with Paulina or Sewa. She had a fully funded offer to study journalism at West Virginia University. If you have any questions to ask her, please just drop it in the comment section and I will display it for her to respond to. She's given insights so that prospective applicants who want to start this process can pick some one or two helpful information and give it a shot. So there's a question here from Portia. She's asking if someone can't secure a visa appointment in time for fall, is it possible to defer to spring? And will that affect their funding offer? I mean, in West Virginia.
I if you can secure an appointment and you want to defer, yes. But I feel like sometimes people defer too early. Make sure that you're deferring after the semester has or like just a tad bit before the semester starts, right? And as to whether you're going to lose your funding, I cannot tell. Some institutions or some departments will let your funding roll over to the next semester for you. Others too, once you defer, you lose that funding. So I think the program coordinator will be in the best position to answer this question. So yeah, it's definitely possible to defer, but as to whether it's going to affect your funding, I cannot tell, unless your program coordinator.
And mostly it all depends on how urgent your department needs you, or whatever
Yes.
department that give you the funding needs you as well. But we've seen cases whereby people lost funding because they deferred. But the good thing is that funding mostly will still be available in the upcoming semester, though it's not
Yes.
guaranteed. But once you have been given that offer before and you lose it, when you should defer and you give it a shot again, I believe since they already know you and you are still coming for the program, you might get it again.
Yes.
So if you are lucky to, you might not lose your funding as
Yeah.
mentioned. Okay, so I don't know, is that your school's website? If you can check my
Yes.
screen. Okay, so this West Virginia University. Then I'm on the graduate school website currently. I just want us to go through some of the programs. So let's look at the programs for the masters. Because if I say all level, it simply means we are going to look at the bachelor's, but I want us to look at the masters, and let's see some of the programs that they have here. So we have accountancy, we have
Mhm.
acting, aerospace engineering, agriculture, natural resources and design. Let me scroll down. AI marketing, animal physiology, applied environmental biology, arts education, artificial intelligence, biology, biomedical engineering, biostatistics, MBA, business, cybersecurity management, chemical engineering, civil engineering, clinical and transitional science, communication studies. So I think this is your program, right? Morgantown campus,
No, my program is journalism. They actually
journalism.
have
Okay.
journalism.
So let me just scroll down. That is the J column, right?
Yep.
So
You passed it.
journalism.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So in Morgantown campus.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just open it. View major information. So journalism for West Virginia. That is the Reed School of Media and Communications.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're interested in this program, you just come and check the admission requirements. It says GRE scores are optional for admission to the applicant to the MSJ program. Students should have a cumulative undergraduate GPA of at least 2.75. Writing samples, 3 to 5 examples of published work, into brackets, academic research papers, if not published. This
Yeah.
may include journalistic products for which links may be provided if necessary. Then application deadlines are here. Each graduate program sets their own terms of admission and application deadline. Applicants should only apply for the admission term displayed, although in some cases, applicants may be allowed to begin studies in the spring term. Any questions regarding the application deadline should be directed to the graduate program representative, that is Rita Colestra, and her email has been attached.
Hmm.
Fall-term admission deadline, February 1st for first priority. However, applications may be received through May. Sewa, can you explain this to us?
Yeah, so priority deadline is what you're saying February, and like they have a rolling admission. Actually, that's why they said that after the admission deadline, application deadline, you will still be like considered for admission if there are openings in the department.
Okay.
So the priority deadline is February 1st, and then throughout to May. you could potentially also be given admission if there are any slots still open. However, usually the Reed School of Media, for instance, did not use to accept students for the spring semester
Okay.
because they have a way that they have arranged the curriculum, because you have to do like some introduction courses which is not taught in the spring. So usually they would prefer you come for the fall, but in some cases people come in the spring. And just last spring, there's a student who started, and I mean, if it works for you, that's fine. There is a contention though in West Virginia University currently, which I think people should know, is that they rolled out a policy where some departments are not allowed to hold external funding.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my department has been affected. So the School of Journalism has been affected, and now students from the School of Journalism cannot hold external funding. So your funding has to come from the department, which is also very straight because nowadays there rarely is any funding. But there's also in rare cases where uh, you would need approval from your department to be able to hold an external funding. So this is not to discourage anyone from applying, but then I want you to know that please do your due diligence before you decide to apply. And not even Reed College alone. Like I think John Chambers to the business school, they rarely allow, because that is a professional school. They don't really allow people hold external funding. So do your research. Don't just scroll through the website and apply. Do your due diligence before you decide to finally apply. And I see they've written there you can reach out to faculty members like for research related stuff. Faculty members, I have also realized, have had opportunities to put students up for positions that will give them tuition waivers and all of that. So reach out to the faculty members too, because most of the faculty members that I know have like research based stuff, because they have like the professional track and the thesis track as well. So some of the professors definitely have like openings that they will mentor students under them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when you mentioned that you could just use the search button on the school's website to
Mm-hmm.
type assistantships,
Mm-hmm.
I've just done that and I've seen they have displayed some information about graduate assistantships for us.
Yes.
But I've seen that most of them are for 2024. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
only one information for 2025. That is libraries graduate assistantships. That
Most of
is
them will even like end up pointing you to handshake.
shake.
Like most of
Okay.
them will
Okay.
do that. Yeah.
Okay. 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 So let's just take note of that. Opening possibilities for the library. Let's see. Just trying to see if we can get any information on
Yeah,
that.
these are the GAs. The first lady, she's Ghanaian.
Yeah, I can see Nana Sewa
Yeah,
Amwati,
she
a master
just
student
came
in
during the
agriculture,
Christmas
natural
break.
resources, and design.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, cool, 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 cool. So, if you're interested in this particular school, just visit their website as we are doing now and get more information. Please, if you have any question for our sister, just leave it in the comment section and I'll display the question so that she'll respond to it. So, since you are not in school now, let me ask you, how was life back in school, combining your work as a graduate assistant to in line with your academic work? How was it like? Was it stressful? Was it fun? If you can let us know more.
I would say it was a mixed feeling. It was a great experience for me. And one thing about GA ship is that I don't know about other schools, but in our school, the policy states that at any point, if your work as a GA is tampering with your education, you choose your education over your GA ship. And like your supervisor should give you opportunities to flourish in your academics, because GAs also have a threshold of a GPA that they have to maintain to be able to still hold their position. So my office was very flexible. We had I mean, I definitely just worked, I think I worked only 3 days in a week. And even I get to choose the times that I show up in the office. I only
Okay.
have to make up 20 hours. And in cases that I can't come in the office, I want to work from home due to emergencies. All that I needed to do was to tell my supervisor. So it was a very flexible environment. However, one thing that I felt was an obstacle for me was especially with assignments. And in the US, we all know they give a lot of assignments. And grad school, you do lots of research. So the times that I used to go to the office, I felt like were times that I could have used to do my assignments. And sometimes when I come back from the office, I'm tired and all of that. But it was a great experience because at the end of every 2 weeks, I know that I'm looking forward to my allowance because I don't have to be doing any other extra jobs to be able to survive. And my stipend was able to like cover me for the entire time that I was there. If I was sick, I could go to the hospital. So it was a very great experience. And while I was in school, sometimes I would be stressed, but I always overcame it. And now that I'm out of school, I actually definitely miss being in school and I miss receiving stipends and all of that. So, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about life as an international student.
Mm-hmm.
Paying rent, other living expenses, and generally the state and the town in which you find yourself. Was it expensive or it was moderate for international students? If you can touch on that.
So West Virginia definitely is not like your usual Chicago, New York, Virginia, those places. So I felt like it was a very good place to start living life as an international student. And if you have good funding to you be able to survive. So I think it was a great place for me as an international student. My rent was like averagely $500 a month. I didn't pay for water. I only paid, excuse me, electricity and all of that. So, and the only other expense that I was not very comfortable with was the, you see, even with GAs, right? There's this extra money that you have to pay to the department. Those monies was what I was not comfortable paying. But I mean, that's the purpose of my stipend. I have to make sure that I'll be able to pay that. So I was able to go through school without thinking about any stress, not bothering my family, and even like get extra money to send my family back home. So West Virginia was definitely a very good place to start off. Yeah.
Okay. So, what advice do you have for prospective students who are considering schools in West Virginia?
Yeah, come to West Virginia, find an affordable accommodation, communicate to people, ask for help. Another thing though is if you know how to drive, as soon as you come here, make sure you get your driver's license. A car is not something that will be difficult for you to get. If you manage your finances very well, you'll be able to get a car. Um, what else? it's it gets harder because it's a predominantly white state. So the African community is growing, but you don't have those huge African markets like in those big states. So prepare your mind for all of that. But it's definitely a place that should be able to survive. And if you have your own car, you're good to go. Like you can drive to the stores that you want to, because we don't have a robust commercial transport system. So
Okay.
that's the only thing that I'll say. But you have people who are very lovely and nice to you over there, and you definitely enjoy your stay.
Okay. There are people who have been doing this study abroad thing for like a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, but it has not been working. Sometimes denials, sometimes admission without funding. What advice do you have for them?
Keep trying. Like if you don't want to give up, keep trying. If you're like me, who says without funding, I cannot do it, keep pushing. And I feel like one day is going to work for you. I remember one of the ladies that I coached, she was very concerned, especially when it was almost like a month to school starts and she didn't have anything. And a few weeks to it now, she has about like 2 or 3 offers that she's considering. I'm like, you see, some time ago you were worried about this, but now see how God has made this multiply in your presence. So keep trying. If you have a bank statement and you say, hey, I can do it, go for it. I wouldn't advise people to come here with huge deficits because even life with funding is not as easy as it is. Like you still need extra money. So those who don't have funding, I really think about them, but to each their own. If it's a decision that you think you can stick to, if you come, you go to the school and you don't have any plans of going out of status, like do what works for you. Because there are people who didn't have funding and have still made it here to the US. So do what works for you. But as I said, if you can go to school for free, why not? Yeah.
Okay. Any cultural shocks when you got to
Mm,
the US?
a lot. A lot.
Tell us, tell
One thing
us.
that I hate the most is the fact that there's smoking everywhere. I hate it. I hate it. The other thing though is me walking across campus greeting and nobody responding. I'm like, oh my God, where are your manners? I didn't know that you don't go about greeting over here. And the fact that almost everybody is holding a bottle with water, and also everybody holding the door for the next person behind them. That is something that is so beautiful to me. Aside that, I lived in a predominantly white state, so getting the food that I was used to was very hard for me. Um, yeah, those are the few that I can mention. Let me think. Are there any other ones? And the fact that you can barely hold cash, like you have to use your card almost all the time instead of like physical cash. Those are the few, but the ones that I hate the most is definitely the smoking all around. And yeah, those are the ones that I can say for now.
Okay. So, what are some of the things, let's say the skills, you wish you had learned or known how to do before coming to US in West Virginia?
I didn't learn anything, but I I don't know. I had to do my own hair and all of that. I had an idea of how to do hair. I never learned it, but
Okay.
when I came, now I became the person who was doing other people's hair, and it looked beautiful. So I was imagining if I had taken time to actually learn that, I could have made something out of it. So if somebody is coming, definitely learn a trade. If you're a guy, you want to learn how to give a haircut, learn even how to be a mechanic, because this place, like mechanics are chopping people's money. So if you know how to fix it, people will give you small thing to fix their car. If you can do hair, you do it for like a token. If you know how to drive, like get your car, and you save a lot of money on transportation and all of that. So definitely learn a trade. And graphic designing is also something that I don't know about the teaching and research assistants, but those who work in the service administration, graphic designing is a skill that comes in very handy. I got to learn it on the job because
Okay.
most of them, they design their flyers themselves. So that is something that I also encourage that if you know how to do it, it's actually something that will sell you out to a lot of offices on campus. But any trade that you can learn it before you come to the US. Even if you got your visa today and you are traveling next week, use the next few days to learn something before you come. It's going to be very, very helpful.
Okay. So, now that you're done with school,
Mm-hmm.
should we expect Paulina to get into a PhD program, or
Mm-hmm.
she's more focused on working now?
So I was looking to get into a PhD program, but unfortunately I didn't get into one. So now I'm looking to the OPT pathway. So I'm looking to work. So that's what I'm looking to do now. I think just recently was when they approved my work permit. So I'm waiting for that and looking at what the job environment has for me. But as it stands, I'm just at home chilling, enjoying life while I can. Because once the stress of work starts, I know that I'll miss being having the opportunity to rest.
Okay. You mean you applied for a PhD program?
Yes, I did. Actually,
But
I
you were not
did.
considered
No, no.
in
It
your school
was
or a
not
different
in
school?
my school, in a different school. So I wanted to move from my state because of obvious reasons.
Okay.
So I was looking at somewhere within the DMV area, and it looks like that was a very tough PhD program that I was trying to get into. And I was trying to get into University of Maryland, and
Okay.
it's like a very tough one. And that was just around the time that the presidency had done those funding
Cuts.
cuts. Yes. So the program chair just reached out to me and was so I ended up asking her, like, is there anything that I was short of in my application? She's like, you had an excellent application. I don't even have an explanation as to why you didn't get into the program. But we had about like over 50 people applying and they had to pick only five.
Wow.
So initially they had like slots for extra two people, but because of federal funding cuts, they can't. So I didn't get into it. So I'm like, you know what? I already needed that break from school because I wanted to either work or do grad school. So whichever of them will come first. So when grad school was taken out of the list, I was like, you know what, let me just look into just applying to jobs and getting a job and starting to work. Yeah.
Okay. So talking about funding cuts,
Mm-hmm.
even you that you are in US,
Yeah.
the funding cut is still affecting you.
Affected me. Yeah.
You still advise people who are even yet to start the process to proceed with the USA, or they should look at other available countries as well.
My dear, like, so definitely proceed with the USA, right? But also look at other countries. I'm a bit biased because I always say that US is the heaven of the earth, and I'll always root for US on any day. So definitely still keep applying. You may be different, right? Even in the midst of all these funding cuts, people got admissions. And I feel like I even decided to apply to my school, but I just didn't apply on time. So
Okay.
even if I had applied to my school, the fact that I was there, I probably would have gotten another opportunity to do my PhD there. So if the US is your dream, go for it. Like, but also definitely consider other countries as well. Don't limit to only the US. Like Canada is a very awesome place. And one thing that I've also realized is that once you get to US, it's easier for you to get a visa to Canada. Once you get
Canada.
to Canada, it's easier to get a visa to the US. So like it's a pathway that you can consider. Yeah.
You're right. Okay. So that means the PhD plan is currently
Mm-mm.
on hold,
It's
or
currently on hold.
it will later come in the next couple of years.
Yes. So I was thinking of considering it for spring, but I really don't like spring semesters. So I'm looking at next fall, and hopefully by then, even if I'm working, my OPT would have been over by then, and then I can still, because I really want that doctor title. Like I want to be called a doctor. So I definitely want to pursue a PhD. But you know what?
Okay.
Life, life, life has a way of doing stuff, right? Because right now I'm also looking to start my own family and all of that. So anything at all can come up. And provided all things being equal, I would want to go back to school and do my PhD. But who knows? I may even end up in the job environment and enjoy it. Like I'll be enjoying the money and I'll be like, I don't want to go back to school. Because and in my field too, you don't necessarily need a PhD to survive.
Okay.
If you can only get a PhD if you want to remain in academia and all of that.
Yeah.
But if you want to work in the corporate environment, a master's is enough. Even a bachelor's is enough. So, but for me, the PhD is more like a self-actualization for me. I want to be able to achieve that and feel fulfilled. So definitely, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but for now, I'm just living, enjoying life.
Okay. So talking about the OPT,
Mm-hmm.
can you break it down a little bit for our listeners? What OPT is about,
Okay.
and how long it takes for one to get an OPT, how many years the person is going to get, if you can touch on it a little bit for us.
Mhm. Okay, so the OPT is, I don't know, I forgot is it
I
optional
think
practical training?
optional practical training, yeah.
Yes, so it's a work authorization that you apply for and get after school to be able to work in the US. It
Okay.
has quite a number of restrictions because you're only allowed to work in the field that you studied in. It's more flexible for the people in the humanities and social sciences because there are lots of other positions in other fields that you can work in. But for the sciences, it's hard. Like you have to be strict, work as an engineer or something like that. So it's for after school, then you work. For people in STEM, they have the opportunity of doing it for 24 months. For people non-STEM programs, you're doing only for 12 months.
Okay.
So I applied in April. Initially, they're like, you know what? They tell you that it's like 6 months processing time, but it can literally take like a month for you to get it. You can also apply for like priority processing, and I think it comes in less than a month, in maybe like 2 weeks. But I applied for the regular one. I was hoping in a month I would get it. I didn't get it. Now I was looking at maybe 3 months. Sometimes you check your portal and it says 4 months, 6 months, 3 months. I applied on April 21st. I only got approved on August 1st.
Okay.
So May, June, July. So 3 months. I had to wait for 3 months before it got approved. And it was yesterday that they told me that they've now produced the card. So as it stands, I don't know the number the duration on the card, but I
Okay.
definitely know that it's like 1 year from the time you graduated to
Okay.
to like the next year. So your international student office will recommend you for OPT on your I-20, and you add it to your application to USCIS, and then they will approve that for you. And once you get that approved, you can work and earn your money. Yep. And you have um from the time you get it, you have 90 days to be able to get a job. Or even after you get it, you have 90 days of unemployment that gives you like a free period of searching for a job. After that 90 days, you're probably advised to go back to your home country. And once you get a job, you're supposed to report the job to your school. Because even though you've graduated, you're still under F1 status under your school. So you're supposed to report to them, make sure it's in the field of your study, and then you're good to go. Yeah.
Okay. There is a question here from someone on WhatsApp. The person
Mhm.
just texted me. He's asking, how do I navigate the process of getting a date? Because I've tried all avenues, but it's getting tough.
So, the days process, I feel like the only option is the hunting thing. Like,
Okay.
especially if you have a group of collective individuals with the same goal who all want to get a date and you all work together. I feel that's the best option because that's what worked for me. Find date hunting groups and join them, follow it. Or if you want to do it alone, then you have to consistently check your portal. And you also know that the more you check the portal, your account may be blocked for the day or something like
Yeah.
that. So definitely work with other people to who are in the same boat as you are, and each person will check at specific times, and then you can book your dates. But I do believe that nowadays I've heard stories of how it's like things are getting better in relation to dates. So hopefully you're able to get a date. I feel like nobody should be panicking, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Okay. So we are getting to the end of our session. If you have any question for our sister, please drop it in the comment section before we leave. Drop it in the comment section before we leave so that at least she can see the question and she'll respond to it. So we are still waiting. If you have any question for our sister, just go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I'll display it so that she can respond. So, what is your advice for prospective students? What can they do to put in a very competitive application and secure the funding as well? What is your advice to them?
I would advise them to treat each document as important as the other.
Okay.
Don't just get up and put in an application. Like, do your due diligence. Let people review it for you, and like taking corrections. The most important for a lot of programs is reach out to supervisors, and because these are people who make the decisions. And also like pray, because some I feel like in this world modernization has taken over a lot of things that some people don't even acknowledge the existence of an almighty being. No matter which church you go to or which belief you are in, like you believe in a supreme authority, pray. And as you're praying, back it up with hard work. Don't do one and leave the other. And I believe that it is going to work. I tell people that if I have been able to do it, everybody should be able to do it. Now my life has like turned around. When I went to Ghana, I realized, the funds that I was getting, so definitely it changes your destiny around, and it's a great opportunity for all of us from very humble backgrounds to be able to do something for ourselves and also to bring like honor to our family's name.
Okay. So, what is your strategy for looking up or searching for schools? Do
Mhm.
you have any specific advice on that? Because there are people that mostly want to follow the trend. I want school in this area. So once they post it on the platform, oh, that's what I want to apply to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any strategy which you can share with people who are looking for schools to apply to.
So my strategy is, first and foremost, you have the idea of the program that you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So even if you want to do a general search, just put it into Google or ChatGPT. Schools in the US that do this program. I tell people like everywhere in the US is the US, so it's better if you like the US is a very big country. You can be in Mississippi and travel all the way to Virginia. Like you can travel everywhere in the US that you want. So it doesn't matter specifically where you are in the US. Once it is an opportunity for you to come, just come. You can just be schools in the US that offer a master's in a particular program, and it will give you a tall list. And then you take the schools one after the other. So if it gives you Ohio University, you take Ohio University and then you look through it. One, make sure they have funding. Two, is there an online or an in-person program? Three, does it have the things that you're looking for? Some people have certain like areas of emphasis or areas of interest that they want to explore. Does it have what you're looking for? And if it does, write that school down. So I think the best thing will be after that, you have like now a list of the schools that you're interested in. And then you take them one after the other, looking at their admission requirements, the ones that are easier to apply to, and the ones that are harder to apply to, put them in order of merit or like in order of preference. And now you start doing your reach outs. And during the reach out, there are some schools that will go silent on you. Then you realize that I'm probably not even hearing from this school. I would advise, right? If you don't hear from a school, don't even apply. But to each their own. If I don't hear from a particular school, I won't apply. Then I strike that out of my list. And also look at like the stories of other people. So like me sitting here sharing my story about West Virginia University, if it resonates with you, consider West Virginia University. And that's why it's important that like there's lots of YouTube channels available. They give you lots of recommendation of schools. And most of us in a lot of study abroad groups, if somebody posts their transcripts and they have their school in it, look at it, especially the ones that have full funding. Look at it. You'll find school suggestions and all of that from all those things. So those
The
are the
funny
few
thing is
tricks.
that
Yeah.
most people have started hiding the name of the schools on
I
their
don't know why
transcripts.
people do that, honestly. I honestly don't like you've already gotten into the school, so what's your problem? I honestly don't know why. And even when people are applying to certain schools, they don't want their friends to know. But I feel like if you have a group of friends who are all working on the same goal and you are sharing ideas, it's very helpful.
Yeah, because when you are a group and you are doing this thing together, that motivation is there. Than
Yes,
you
yes,
see you only want to do it. And that
yes,
is one thing we don't notice as Africans.
yes. But like even if your friend gets into a school and you didn't get into it, like me, I'm happy. I'm happy that my friend got there. Because you know, little do you know that if your friend gets into that school, they can put in a word for you. They can now be your recommender and recommend you into that same program. That's one thing that we don't know. We want all of us are pulling us down. That agenda is not helpful. Like if people go above us, let us be happy for them. That's all that matters.
Okay, so as Sarah mentioned, you can just use Chat GPT just as I have
Mm-hmm.
done here. I typed schools in US that offer masters in journalism and have assistantship opportunities. And I added I want schools that also have low cost of attendance or low cost of tuition.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the name of some schools they've
Yeah.
mentioned: University of Nebraska in Lincoln, University of Arkansas at Little Rock,
You
Las
see, University of Nebraska is telling you it's an online program. So
good,
you don't want to take an online
no
program
problem.
as yours.
Exactly.
Yes. So
Exactly.
now you're checking that off and you're looking through the list and making a list of the schools that are helpful. And then you go to their websites. Yes.
So even with this, you can even add schools that have on-campus journalism programs
Yes.
so that it will just filter those ones out for you instead of
Yes, AI
doing
has
the
really
general one.
come to help us. And I think you have a session on AI, how to use AI to do all of
Yes,
this.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. There is a session on that. It has been shared, I think, with Tio. He had
Yes.
two sessions on that. So uh,
Yes.
listeners and viewers can just have a look at that video and begin the process. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the school application process as well, there are some people who are always confused that do I have to put in application together with funding at once, or I have to put in application first, Then after that, I'll do the funding separately. Can you clarify that?
So it is peculiar to each school. So some schools have different funding and different application processes. However, most of the schools that I've come across, your admission comes with your funding. Like if you're going to get funding, it's coming with your admission, or like it comes later, but you don't have to do a different application. And on the website, you will see it that all students who apply are automatically considered for funding. So you don't need to do a different one. And I think if you need to do a different one, they will state it on the website. And again, that is why it's important to keep in touch with your program coordinator. In case you have any question, ask them. Like they are there to answer you, especially if they are very receptive. You have to ask them those questions and make sure that the questions that you're asking them are not questions that have been answered on the website. If they've been answered and you ask them, you come off as a serious person just wanting to ask questions. So it is peculiar to each school. So do your due diligence. Make sure that this is what the school is requiring of you before you do that. Yeah.
Okay. Portia is asking a question here.
Okay.
Please, it's been 3 weeks since I booked for emergency, but till date, nothing has happened. What should I do?
What does she mean? I don't know how the new portal works, right?
Right. Yeah.
So is it that you've requested for emergency and they haven't responded? If they haven't responded, then probably do a follow-up email, attach your service receipt. And I think that now, if you haven't paid your service fee, they won't approve your emergency or something like that. That's what I heard. So attach your service fee receipt and your I-20, like any document, I-20 specifically to prove that, oh, you have less than 3 months to the start of school. And yes, you hear back from them. So let me know what type of
I think I even
conversation you
have
had
an
with them.
information concerning this emergency thing from the
Mm-hmm.
US. So someone reached out to them, and this
Mm-hmm.
was the feedback. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you for contacting the US Visa and American Citizen Support Service. We
Mm-hmm.
understand that you applied for an emergency appointment about a week ago
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't received feedback. Please note that there is no defined time frame for this process.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you will receive instructions on how to reschedule your appointment once your request has been reviewed and approved.
Mm-hmm.
Please note that each US embassy or consulate allows only a certain limited number of requests per
Mm-hmm.
visa fee receipts. You might not be able to send a new expedited request. If you have received a notification that your expedited request has been approved, please proceed as following in order to schedule your expedited appointment. So you sign into your account, you go to your dashboard, choose the tab with the word total appointment, choose the card with your original regular appointment, and click on reschedule. So they are saying that if you are approved of your emergency request, you are going to get a notification from them per
Yes.
the message in this video. So once you've not heard anything, the only thing you can do is to keep on waiting patiently till you hear from them.
Yes, I agree. And I think now a lot of things have changed. Now they're allowing you only one opportunity, and if they deny it, you can't apply again, like all those things. So definitely do wait. And I think that in some cases too, they've even automatically giving people emergency appointment, like they schedule you for one. So let's see what it is. And
Okay.
yeah.
What is your view on the practice of people going to different countries for their interviews just because they are struggling to get dates in Ghana?
It's a dicey one, right? I would say that if I'm going to be denied, I would prefer to be denied in my home country so that I don't like waste money to go to another country and I'm denied. But people have the means, right? Some people it's urgent, they want to go. So if you have the means and you want to go, but make sure that you are reading on the country's website to make sure that they allow people from other countries to have their
Countries.
appointments there. What I would not advise people to do, though, is knowing that your case is not a very strong one and you still go ahead and book an appointment in a different country. I would as well just go with my country and I get denied here. And I know that I pick car, I can go home. Now I have to sit on a flight and come back. So it's, yeah, if you can afford it, fine. But if you can't, I've seen stories of people who are coming from backgrounds like my own, doing everything possible to go to another country and still gets denied. It's very heartbreaking. And even the denial alone breaks your heart. Talk less of spending extra money to go to another country and being denied. Yeah.
But I think the reason why most people do that is just because of the non-availability of it.
Yes.
As we mentioned earlier, some people might even end up losing their assistantships or their
Yes.
funding.
If you can
So,
afford it, go. Like, if especially like somebody who has full funding like this and is not getting date, if they'll get a date in another country, they can just go for it. But make sure that you have a reasonable explanation as to why are you here for your interview in another country. Like, put that at the back of your mind, whether they'll
right.
ask you or not. Put that at the back of your mind, and if they ask you, then you give them that response. Yeah.
So there are neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, Guinea, that some
Yes.
Ghanaians usually go for their interviews in those places
I
because of,
actually don't have a problem with that Cote d'Ivoire because that's just across the border. But
yeah,
people going to like a Swatini, South Africa, like,
South Africa.
yes, I feel like it's a lot.
People go to Dubai, Qatar.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot. But slide to each their own. If they have the money,
Money.
yes. I mean, if you have it, do it. That's all that matters.
Okay. So let me throw my final question to you before we wrap up the session.
Okay.
What advice do you have to everyone who is listening to you now? We have over 80 people listening to us now. And I believe because we are in a state of mourning, most people couldn't join, but they'll
Mm-hmm.
watch the recorded version later on. What is your advice for anyone watching, anyone who wants to study abroad, not specifically the US? What is
Mm-hmm.
your advice for the person?
I would say that one, it's a very great decision that you have chosen because for most of us, studying abroad is a great opportunity for you to turn your life around. And I saw a quote that said that those of us who have gotten the opportunity to study abroad, we are setting a pace for a better life for our children or for our future generations. Growing up, we knew of our uncles and aunties abroad. Now we are those uncles and aunties. So if you're deciding to go on this journey, know that it's not just for you, it's for your whole generation. So put in your best, pray to God, ask for direction. If you go once and it fails, lift yourself up and go again. I remember last year, one of my friends was trying to come to the US. She didn't have funding. I told her the reality on the ground on how hard it is to survive with funding, without funding, and also the probability of even getting denied.
Okay.
But today she's in the US, and I'm glad that she wasn't discouraged with all those words that I said because when she ended up coming to the US, she now got an assistantship.
So, okay.
So if you think you have the opportunity to push and be here, if you have an uncle who's going to support you, go for it. One thing that I'll only ask is let your intentions be genuine. If you're not planning to do your studies, I would advise that don't use any kululu way to come because like nowadays in this part of the world things have become very strict and you don't want to find yourself wanting, but education is a very good path that you have chosen and it's a great opportunity for you to turn the fortunes of your family around. So put in your best, put God first, work hard, and it's going to be possible. That's all that I have to say.
Okay. Are you open for mentorship? Are you open for that?
So at this point, well, I am open for mentorship, right? But I don't do like strict mentorship, like one-on-one mentorship,
One.
because
Okay.
I have decided to take a break because of all the mental toll that it takes on us. And for me especially, it has taken on me again because I decided to pursue my PhD. However, my doors are very open if anybody has questions. What I don't like is people who come to ask questions and you know that this person has not prepared. If you ask certain questions, I'll know that this is a serious person who wants to do something, and I'll definitely provide you with responses and resources available. So if you need mentorship, let's say you want to pursue something in communication or journalism and you want to reach out to me with your questions, I am open. There I want to do with people who want to do the things themselves. I don't want somebody who is looking for me to fill their application for them or anything like that. But definitely general mentorship, I am available. Like feel free. My doors are open. Yeah.
So, do you have any social media handle which we can follow you on? Just let me know, and I'll display it for my followers to quickly
Hmm.
follow you.
Which social media? So my
I know you are very
Instagram,
popular on TikTok.
TikTok. My
Okay.
TikTok is I am Sewa. So I
Uh-huh.
dot am
Okay.
underscore Sewa.
Underscore. So, the S is it capital or small?
No, it's small.
Okay. So I am Sewa. I underscore Sewa.
Mm-hmm.
That's all for the TikTok.
Yeah, yes. Did
Okay.
it pop up? I
Um.
let me see. Let me
no,
confirm it.
okay. Let me just log into my TikTok
Yes, I
page.
think both my Instagram and my TikTok are the same name.
Come in. Let me just try and log into my TikTok account. Oh, I think that is going to take time.
Yes, that's it. It's
Come
I dot yes, that's it for both my Instagram and my TikTok.
Okay. Just trying to see if okay. So let me see if I can find your page. Good. Let me just project it for our. Just share my screen. Share screen. So check it out and see if that is it.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so that is I am
Hmm.
underscore Sewa. So
Yes.
Paulina Sewa Jemfi, Christian, broadcast journalism, young girl with a great dream. She has
Hmm.
a whole lot of videos and content.
Currently, my TikTok, I have archived all the study abroad because I was taking a break. But
Okay,
definitely feel free to reach out to me on there in my Instagram and I'll respond.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I've even seen your video with Fred Effect, my
Yes.
marriage journey to America. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So there is a whole lot of information here.
Hmm.
If you want to just reach out to her, just find her handle as I'm projecting now and reach out to her. She's open to assist you with your questions if you have any.
Yep.
Okay, Sawa, thank you very much. It has been an amazing session with you. And my followers and I, we are very grateful for the insights.
Thank you for having
Later
me.
in the coming month, we might call on you once again to come on board
I don't have a problem.
to share your experiences with us. So
Yes.
thank you and God bless you.
And
And to
thank you
my
for having me.
okay, if okay, continue, Sawa.
I said thank you for having me. It was a wonderful time talking to you all. And I hope, like, it's my prayer that everyone given this study abroad a shot will have a testimony very soon.
Amen. Amen. Okay. So my followers too, I'm very grateful for joining us. I'm grateful for you sharing the link, subscribing, and inviting others to join. Don't forget to still subscribe to the Delali Network. And remember that on every Wednesdays and every Thursdays, we do this. I am ending here and I'll say do have a lovely evening and have a lovely day. Bye bye.